All right, well, I have just managed to mess up stuff. My cat was in the previous video. She skedaddled on out of here. So we're just going to go ahead and do interval notation. Oh, maybe she's back. Oh, there she is. You can see her crossing. That is Hannah. Let's see if we can get her good. There she is for posterity. If you've watched some of my older videos, you've seen some of my older cats that have passed away. They would make appearances. She usually does not, but she's that excited about interval notation that she's gonna make herself comfy here, okay, and listen to the lesson. So now she's just gonna be sitting over there, listening in. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about interval notation. What is interval notation? Well, it's an alternate way of writing inequalities. And inequalities are these things like x is less than 5. It's another way of writing that. Algebra 2 generally does not have a preferred notation, but future math classes or future math teachers or professors will. And so you do want to know it. You want to be able to go back and forth between the two notations. We teach it. And for now, in Algebra 2, for me at least, you can choose which notation you prefer. I will try to use both in class so that you're not getting too comfortable with one over the other, and then you're totally taken off guard if you see the other notation. So the first off, we'll start with the domain. We know that the domain of every parabola is all real numbers, but how do we write that in interval notation? Now, up until this point, if you had the domain, you would write the D for domain and then use the symbol for all real numbers, which is like the R with the little extra bar on it. Now, what we want to convey with that, looking at this, is that all of the coordinate plane is highlighted all the way to the left and all the way to the right, as far as you can go. You can't cut it off at any point, okay? You've got to go all the way to the left and all the way to the right. So here's the idea. As I move further and further and further to the left on that x-axis, you can see we have like -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -8, okay, or 6, okay, it's getting dark in here. And essentially that is going to go out all the way to -infinity, okay? And I am aware that my infinities are weird, like they're supposed to be sideways 8s, but mine like look like, I don't know, that one's not too bad, but they tend to look really bad. So I tend to write them as just like two circles next to each other. Okay, so just that's how I do a sideways 8. That's how I do my infinity symbol. Roll with it. Now, as I move further and further and further to the right, the numbers are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and so they would be going to positive infinity. And the way we write that in interval notation is we basically say, hey, it's everything from -infinity to positive infinity, and then we put it in parentheses. Okay, and the reason we put it in parentheses is because the infinity is not included in the answer. Infinity is not a number, it's a concept, and you can't include a concept in your set. Okay, it just doesn't work that way. So this would be the set of numbers ranging from -infinity to positive infinity. In other words, everything, all real numbers. So what you would write for your answer is you'd write the D as before, but instead of using the all real number symbol, you would write -infinity to positive infinity in the parentheses. Okay, you do need the parentheses. They do signify something important. Okay, so that's your domain. Now, the range. The range, we're talking about the y's. So we're going to be looking at the y-axis, okay? And this one looks like it's bottoming out at the 4. I tried to capture the ordered pair in there, but I didn't. I guess that's a -4. Okay, at a -4, and it goes upward from there. Now, this is heading up towards infinity, though that's really bad. We cannot have that. There we go. We'll just okay. So that's going up to infinity. You can see we're counting. We have up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it's just going to keep going towards infinity. And so the way that we would write the range, okay, so before you would do this, you would say, oh man, it's been a day today. Y is greater than or equal to 4. The other way you would write it is from 4 to infinity. Now, here's where it gets like weird. See how the 4 itself is included. So y can be equal to 4. Okay, it can be equal to 4. Instead of using the parenthesis, we use a bracket. The bracket means that the 4 is included. And so it's like weird. It's like you got this ordered pair, but like one of them has a bracket and it's not really an ordered pair, it's an interval. And it's essentially saying it's everything from 4 or -4. I'm sorry, it's a -4. I just don't want it to be negative. Okay, fixed it. From -4 all the way up to infinity. It's gonna keep going. Your parabola is gonna keep going up forever. So starting at the -4, including the -4, and going up to infinity. So take a moment. You can pause the video if you want, and you try this one. All right. Now for your domain. The domain of every parabola is all real numbers. So just like before, how you would just say, hey, the domain is all real numbers, this time you're going to say -infinity to +infinity, all real numbers. Okay, that's always your domain for a parabola. Now, the range. This time we're looking at the y's, okay, and this time we're going down, all right? And so before we would say y is less than or equal to 5. Now, here's where you might make a mistake, okay? So if you did this is not correct, okay? But I'm going to, if you said it was 5, oh, wait a minute. If you said it was 5 to -infinity, okay? First of all, yes, you saw the correct thing. But here's the thing about interval notation. You always, always, always write it from the smaller number to the bigger number. And the way it's written here, you're actually going from the bigger number to the smaller number. So instead of doing that, you're just going to write it the other way around. You're going to say from -infinity to 5. And you're going to put the bracket on the other side. Okay, now if you made that mistake, that is totally understandable. And I didn't say anything about that in the last problem because the last problem wasn't an issue. So if you did that, it's almost better if you make the mistake and then make the correction. Okay, that was not you. I did not say anything about it. So if you wrote that first one, I want you to give yourself a check mark for yes, I saw the correct thing. And I used my brackets and my parentheses correctly, but I need to switch the order because it always, always, always goes from the smaller to the greater. So you would be going from -infinity up and stopping at the 5 when you get there. Okay, now next up, increasing and decreasing. So I am providing that to you with the shading on there, okay? And that is for your, like, so you can kind of see what we have going on here. So the purple, as I'm tracing it, remember we go from left to right. This is increasing, 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 increasing. And then right when I get to that 6, now I am switching over and I'm decreasing, decreasing, decreasing. So this is my increasing side and this is my decreasing side. I don't really want to put either of those where I put them. So increasing side and decreasing side. So for my increasing side, previously we would have said x is less than or not less than or equal to, because the 6, it's like not really doing either at that. So x is less than 6. But now we're going to use the idea of that entire purple area is where it is increasing. And that purple area is going to start at -infinity and go all the way up to that 6. And so we would say -infinity up to 6, and the 6 is not included. Therefore, we do not put the bracket around it. We're going to use the parenthesis. Now, my decreasing, we would previously have said x is greater than 6. But now we're going to say, hey, that black region starts at 6 and it's going to go on to infinity. So we would say 6 to infinity. And again, we're using a parenthesis. Okay, so that's that. So let's see if you would like to do one. Okay, so here we go. All right, I'll pause and let you think about it. Write it down. Okay, so we are looking at that -3. And remember, we have negative infinity over here and positive infinity over here. And our changeover spot is that x is equal to 3 right there, or -3, which is not included in either one. Now, in this case, our increasing is over here. This is our blue region, and it's decreasing in the red. I'll kind of trace that. We go over to the left. I am clearly heading down, decreasing, 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 get to the -3, and then we turn around, and it's increasing, 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 going the other way. So for increasing, in inequality notation, we would say x is greater than -3. But in this case, if we're using interval notation, we would say it is increasing from -3 to infinity because it's going that way. And decreasing would be this way. And we would again start with the smaller numbers. So we're going to start with the negative infinity and stop when we get to the -3. In inequality notation, we'd say x is less than -3. Now, both of these notations are used, they're both used frequently. Typically, people will have a preference one over the other. Probably at first, you're going to prefer inequality notation because it is the one you're more familiar with. The interval notation is not what you're familiar with, and I can honestly say this is probably not my most stellar explanation of it. You might want to just re-watch the video there, see if it's better the second time around. Anyway, so hopefully it was okay though. I'm going to give you a couple tips on the next slide. This is a much, much shorter lesson. So the one I recorded for using Desmos was much longer. So some tips: use Desmos to visualize the parabola. So go in, get it in inequality notation, look at the shading, and then try to do it without the highlighting first and then check with the highlighting. So try to do it like just looking at the parabola and then use the highlighting if you need to kind of see what is being included. I think it can help you look at it like side to side as opposed to looking at the parabola up and down. And that leaves us with the practice set. So finish this for homework, or I guess if you're watching this video, you're probably doing the whole thing for homework. State the domain, range, increasing interval, and decreasing interval for each of the functions below. Use both inequality notation and interval notation. So for example, for this first one, okay, you would have domain and range for inequality, and then you'd have domain and range for your interval. Your domain for like all of them is all real numbers. Okay, so, okay, and then your range would be like something else, and then you'd have like increasing and decreasing in one notation and increasing and decreasing in the other notation. And as we go over them, so when you're asking your questions in class, you really want to be paying attention. Like, are you getting them right in one notation but wrong in the other notation? What kinds of mistakes are you making? And then we can address that. Don't be thrown off. I got bored typing f of x, so I did name the functions different things. Bubba is just Bubba. You just, you do you. When you type it in Desmos, though, probably you don't want to type Bubba of x. Okay, just type f of x or y or something like that. All right, so that's it for that lesson. It is much shorter, but I anticipate some questions and wanting to go over it. Just don't come into class with a blank homework. Okay, don't be like, I didn't understand anything in that video. All I got was that there was a cute cat in it, and just try something. Okay. All right, and you know how to reach me if you have questions.